Imagine waking up tomorrow and gravity is gone. Not weaker, not lighter, just gone. No warning, no countdown. One moment everything is normal. The next moment, Earth quietly forgets how to pull things down. At first, you probably wouldn't even notice. You wake up in your bed, still lying there, because blankets and mattresses have a funny habit of trapping us in place. But the moment you try to stand up, something strange happens. Your feet push against the floor, and instead of standing, you begin to float. Slowly at first, like a balloon that slipped out of someone's hand. Your phone drifts off the nightstand. A glass slides across the table and lifts into the air. Dust particles that once settled now dance freely like tiny planets. Within minutes, every loose object in your home begins to hover. Welcome to a world without gravity. But this peaceful floating illusion wouldn't last long, because gravity isn't just what keeps us on the ground. It's the invisible architect holding our entire world together. Without it, Earth becomes chaos. First, the atmosphere begins to escape. Right now, gravity grips our air like an invisible lid on a jar. Remove that lid, and the gases that make up our atmosphere begin drifting into space. Oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, all slowly leaking away. Not instantly, but steadily, like a punctured balloon. Within minutes, the air around you would start thinning. Breathing becomes harder, and if you look up at the sky, you might notice something eerie. The sky is no longer blue. That familiar blue color only exists because sunlight scatters through our atmosphere. Without enough air, the sky begins turning darker and darker until it looks almost black, even during the daytime. But that's only the beginning. The oceans would start to rise, not as waves, not as tsunamis, but as enormous floating masses of water lifting away from Earth's surface. Imagine entire oceans slowly peeling off the planet, forming gigantic drifting spheres of water. Inside those floating oceans, fish would swim in every direction, up, down, sideways. There would be no up anymore. Some of these massive water blobs would break apart, scattering trillions of droplets across the planet. Earth would begin to look less like a world, and more like a snow globe someone just shook. Meanwhile, humans would be having a very bad day. Without gravity, every step becomes impossible. Walking turns into pushing yourself across walls and furniture like astronauts inside the International Space Station. But unlike astronauts, you don't have training, or handrails, or sealed environments. If you accidentally push too hard, you might drift across the room and smack into the ceiling, or worse, float out an open window and slowly drift into the sky. And here's the terrifying part. Once you start drifting upward, there's nothing pulling you back down. You just keep going, higher and higher. But the real disaster wouldn't happen on Earth's surface. It would happen in space. Gravity is the glue that keeps planets in orbit around the sun. Without Earth's gravity anchoring everything together, the entire planet would start to fall apart. Literally, mountains, buildings, soil, and oceans would begin drifting away from the planet's center. Earth itself would slowly dissolve into a massive cloud of rocks, water, and debris spreading through space. And the moon would simply continue moving forward along its path, no longer tied to Earth. It would drift away into the solar system like a lonely cosmic traveler. But the sun still has gravity, which means the debris that used to be Earth would continue orbiting the sun, forming a gigantic ring of planetary leftovers, a ghost of our former world, a shattered halo where a planet once lived. But here's a strange twist. If gravity disappeared everywhere in the universe at the same moment, things would become even stranger. Galaxies would unravel, stars would drift apart, black holes would lose their grip. The entire universe would slowly dissolve into an endless ocean of drifting particles. No planets, no stars, no galaxies, just silent motion in every direction. A cosmic fog where structure once existed. Because gravity, despite being the weakest of the fundamental forces, is also the one that builds everything we know. It gathers dust into planets, planets into solar systems into galaxies. Without gravity, the universe forgets how to organize itself. It becomes a scattered puzzle with no pieces touching. So the next time you drop your keys and they fall to the floor, you might find it slightly annoying. But in reality, that tiny fall is proof that one of the most important forces in the universe is still quietly doing its job, holding oceans down, holding air in place, holding planets together, and most importantly, holding you firmly on the ground. Gravity may be invisible, but without it, the universe would simply drift apart.